software or build any circuits, I say, well, what is a musical instrument? My definition of a musical instrument is it's a tool by which we can control the dimensions of sound with a high degree of nuance and in real time. As a performer, I mean, a lot of us are music students, and what we're actually doing is in studying an instrument for years and years, we're actually strengthening our connection with this instrument. We have this musical idea, we have to somehow make our muscles control this instrument that we're playing, and the sounds happen. So, if I want to go da-ga-ga-ga-ga, I have to be able to do that. And it takes many years to sort of develop that rhythmic sense, like that sort of fine muscle tuning to control that instrument. And again, that input motion that you put into the instrument and the sound are like very, very related. But now, in electronics, we have a lot more possibilities. That input and output system and relationship is essentially infinite. So a typical electronic system for making sound and mapping with gesture would be some sort of input sensors like knobs or buttons, infrared distance sensors in the case of the Air Marimba. So those inputs go to the computer, and we can map those to any sound. Map it to, I can turn this knob and it could be rain sound, or it could be babies crying, or anything, or trumpets. So since we can do anything, the question is like, well, what makes sense? What's aesthetic? What's meaningful? And what's that? Between the instrument and the performer. So I try to think about the concept of practice. So where we build this thing, and because it has such fine control in the dimensions of sound, like if we're hitting this table, you can have many different sounds. But like I have to, as a percussionist, I have to practice playing it really soft and play really loud, and do it like I mean it, and do it as if I'm controlling this system. So a lot of, I think a common trend in building electronics to make sounds are people build these things that are really fun, and you twist your thumbs with these buttons, and all of a sudden you're playing these pentatonic scales, and all this music's happening, and you're like, whoa, I'm making the music. But you're actually not. You know, like that thing is not a tool. It's like it's a toy. It's instantly satisfying. And with the tool, you kind of get longevity. You get you can study something for a lifetime and figure out how to create new expressions with it. And back to that concept of practice, it should be apparent that somebody that's playing the piano for 2 weeks is very different sometimes than somebody that's been playing the piano for 20 years. build an instrument and have like 5 different composers write different pieces for it and be able to play many different songs, many different pieces with this. And not have the tool be implicit of an expression. It have to be generic enough that you can create infinite expressions for years to come. And I would also love to build something that somebody finds so satisfying that they say, I want to learn marimba, I want to take marimba lessons. And I'm going to study this for years, and I'm going to teach my children. And, but that legacy and that tradition of passing knowledge down, that sort of built the tradition of an instrument. Think of an instrument that's been around for like hundreds of years, like a violin or the piano. Just because it's been around for so long, there's so much rep that's been written for it, and so many techniques that have been passed down, and people can build on their own techniques. So, the way I see it, I think that incorporating electronics into interactive live performance and building musical instruments using electronics is much more of a philosophical question than a technical challenge.